so welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's get into today's video. So the episode started with Zadia deciding to keep Cam around. I'm like, sis, how many times are you going to hear this man tell you he's too busy for you? When will you realize he's not trying to be with you? He isn't. So you can give him all the time you want, you can give him all the chances you want, he will still not choose you in the end. Stop wasting your time. It's actually quite sad to see Zadia go down like this, but if she's happy with it, then who am I to complain? Now let's talk about the cast meeting their keeper's family members or friends, right? So let's talk about Donald for the first to start with, because I know that's probably what you guys want to talk about. So Donald brought two of his friends to meet Ashley. First of all, I'm not surprised he brought friends. I know he gave the excuse about not having a lot of friends around, so these are the two people that he could bring. I'm just like, okay, so no one is like your distant cousin or family friend or something like that, but okay, whatever. So one of Donald's friends, Lakeisha, basically was just ready to get right along. So she starts talking about the elimination and wanted to know why Ashley decided to eliminate Donald. And first of all, my first initial thoughts is, why is it this lady Lakeisha that I've never met before bringing this up? If I was Ashley, that's how I would feel. It just seems like, girl, mind your business. What does this have to do with you? But then at the same time, it also made me feel like, where could she have gotten that information from if not from Donald? Which means Donald went home to go tell his buddies, and now his buddy wants to check Ashley about eliminating Donald. So, of course, Ashley talks about the fact that she did not see the messages and that he didn't communicate with her for 2 days and then showed up at the house, which she did not like. And this girl, Lakeisha, said she was there when Donald was sending her those messages. I don't know if you guys watched or saw Ashley's face at that point. If you didn't, please go back and watch it. Ashley was done right after that. She's like, how are you? Right next to Donald when Donald was doing that. She was not here for it. And I was like, all right, Ashley, as soon as she had that facial expression, I'm like, yeah, this is about to go left. This is gonna go left. Donald, I don't know if this is what you want. This ain't what you want. Basically, that's what I was feeling the whole time. I'm like, Donald, this ain't what you want. Are you going to say something? Well, Donald sat there and said absolutely nothing. So Miss Lakeisha kept going on. She's like, Donald has so much to give and he has to be a certain type of woman to be deserving of him. I'm like, okay, so are you insinuating that Ashley is not deserving of him? Even if you feel that way, hold and reserve your comments for your friend. Don't come in my face and start talking to me about how you feel like there's a certain type of woman that deserves your friend. That's a bit too much. And so she's like, she doesn't want him to be in a committed relationship, calling and doing all of those things unless she's the one. I'm like, sit down somewhere, sis. Would you be in a committed relationship with someone who doesn't call you? Let's be honest. So you don't want Donald to be picking up the phone to call and invest his time in someone who is not the one. How is he going to know if he's the girl is the one if he doesn't invest anything? Seriously. And how is the girl going to know that Donald is the one if she can't see anything that he brings to the table? Sis, cut it out. Now, things moved on slightly to them talking about Donald's sense of fashion. And so the friend is like, Donald has his own sense of fashion. And Ashley went to go and say she has a whole lot of wardrobe for him. I'm like, girl, you just shot yourself in the foot. In the words of Miss Moesha, what did you say that for? 100%. 100% went left after that. So basically the friend was like, yeah, nah. Why do you have to have a wardrobe for him? I want you to like him for who he is. and not be wanting to change him. And then Ashley was like, yeah, she likes him for who he is, but she's also all about the aesthetics. I'm like, girl, we know. We know if you weren't all about the aesthetics, you wouldn't have even been considering Kirsten, despite him playing in your face on multiple occasions. So you are all about the aesthetics. That's not surprising to me. Is it surprising for you, Ashley? I can bet anyone in the comment section. Let me know if you think it's surprising for you. Let me know in the comment section, guys. Because it ain't surprising to me. Please explain to me why Lakeisha decided to say, I see you're aggressive and I don't want you doing that to him, pointing in his face and all of that. I'm like, what? Girl, you came on 10. If anything, you both are aggressive. And I'm just like, it makes me realize this is why Ashley's behavior is generally okay with Donald, because Donald is used to having a friend like that around, having someone that is aggressive and animated around. So you're not new to this. But yeah, keep us out of your business, honey. But, you're definitely not new to this. Anyways, Maurice brought his daughter and cousin to meet Charisse. Charisse asked the question about, like, what can you tell me about your dad? And Charisse and Maurice's daughter said some really good things about her father. She talks about him being kind, caring, willing to do things for people, and that if there was anything that she needed, he would always be willing to help, basically. And so I feel like both Charisse and Maurice's relationship seemed to have gotten closer after that moment. I felt like that moment brought them a lot closer. Now let's talk about Cam and his best friend who came to meet Zadia. Cam's friend talks about like Cam being a very disciplined person, being very focused, and like he would make a plan and like stick to it. And he talked about how, Cam just wants to make sure the person is a good fit and whatnot. Girl, Zadia then decided to ask, am I a good fit? I'm like, girl, how you finna ask this man if you're a good fit for his friend? Anyways, he said, oh, I would say you are. He didn't say you are. That is him avoiding the question and trying to let you down easily. No, he does not think you're a good fit. That is literally what I think he's not saying. He does not feel like you're a good fit. But anyways, let's move on to Tabari. Tabari brought his mom and brother. In a way, I'm just like, don't get me wrong, I feel like people bring their family on these kind of shows sometimes and stuff like that. But his mom seemed like a really solid woman. And I don't think she would jump for it if she felt like Tabari wasn't serious to that extent, right? So, of course, she can make mistakes. Let's just put that out there. But I personally think she doesn't come across to me as someone who would baby Tabari. So Vern was like, oh, describe Tabari. And then Mama said he has a good heart, is an entrepreneur, is family oriented. And so Vern basically said to Mama that her and Tabari have a communication issue. What was interesting was that Tabari's mom actually corrected Vern and said, you don't have an issue, you have a concern. And I was like, okay. I guess that also affects the way you look at it, right? Like, because sometimes if you think concern is like, okay, you, like, don't get me wrong, they can be used synonymously, right? But I feel like saying it is a concern sounds better and could possibly be received a little bit better than saying that you have an issue. So I hear what Mama is saying on that. I do think Vern likes Tabari's mom a lot. And I think that it's one of those things where, have you ever liked someone's mom so much that you don't even like them that much, but you want to stay with that person because of their mother? Like, guys, I have a personal story about this. There was one time I was dating this guy. He was nice, don't get me wrong, but there were certain things about him that I was like, But when I met his mom was so lovely. Like, his mom is the only person, like the only mom that, like, bear in mind that, I probably met a few mothers, in my time. But anyways, his mom was the only mom that made such an impact that to this day, it's been so many years, I still think about that woman. I'm still like, oh, I hope she's good. I have such a soft spot for this woman. He even says to me that, my mom still asks of you. She's like, you're such a sweetheart and stuff like that. And it just felt like we connected on a level that it's hard to explain. So when the son would annoy me, and there were points where I knew this wasn't going to work, but I was like, oh, I love his mom. I love his mom. But I'm like, you're not married to his mom. You're not going to be waking up to his mom. His mom is lovely, but, he has some, a-hole ways. Are you going to... You're not dating his mom. And how I had to slap myself back into reasoning like someone with sense. And I'm like, girl, let's bring back a little bit of logic, right? Yes, you love his mom, but you cannot spend your whole life with his mom. You're going to be spending your life with your partner, right? Like, you're going to be spending the most time with your partner. So you need to really think about it. And so for that reason, I had to eventually be like, okay, girl, you can't keep holding on to this man because of his mom. You can't. You just can't. So that was that. Anyways, we move. So I feel Vern in that moment was really starting to be like warm up a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Vern is that into Tabari, to be completely honest. But I think in that moment, seeing his mom, she was starting to like maybe be like, okay, maybe I should see if I can, see if something will come of this, just because she loves Tabari's mom. That's what I think. But let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. And let's talk about Charisse and Zadia. Now, we've talked about how Zadia, how Charisse did Zadia last time. And I talked about, my view on that whole thing. It looks like Zadia decided to do a back at you, tit for tat. So Charisse was saying to Zadia that Donald should have known what kind of girl Ashley is and should not have invited a girl. Now, I can't lie, but I do agree with that. The reason I agree with that is we've seen how Ashley behaves. And if you guys have seen the digital exclusive clip on the own YouTube page, you would see that, yes, Ashley was already on 10 about the fact that Donald was going to bring a woman. She knew that, right? And she was already on 10 about it. So I don't even understand. So imagine that kind of energy to begin with, right? So I'm not surprised it went the way it went. And Charisse is right that Donald should have actually thought about it. Should I really bring a girl to this girl that is very insecure? Should I really bring a girl? But anyways, I guess maybe he thought she should be able to comport herself and, and whatnot. So Charisse and Zadia were talking about it. Somehow it moved on to Zadia asking Charisse if her and LJ have ever dated. And she's like, no, they dated on the show, but that's about it. They didn't really date. And then Zadia was like, but I saw you kiss him in the mouth. And Charisse is like, no, just a friendly kiss. Then Charisse goes off. That's how you know it's true. Because if it wasn't, I would not be that offended. I'll just be like, girl, you didn't know what you saw. I don't kiss him in the mouth. But she got so defensive. And she's like, yeah, he's my friend. I can kiss him on the mouth. Like, it was just a friendly kiss, a friendly peck. And Zadia was like, yeah, I don't be kissing my friend. I'm like, I don't be kissing my friend either. I get it, sis. But what did she say that for? Charisse was also saying, don't tell my effing business. I'm like, girl, so now you have an issue with Zadia telling your business when you were telling all her business early on in the season. And she waited for the perfect time and she's like, I'm gonna get you back. But guess what Charisse did? Charisse took it all the way, honey. Charisse was like, if you effed Cam, then you effed Cam. I was like, ooh, 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 ooh. Then Charisse goes on to say, you were saying that Cam has a BD, big dick. I'm like, oh. I'll be honest, I believe them both. I believe that Charisse was out there kissing LJ. I believe that Charisse has been doing stuff with LJ and does stuff with LJ whenever she wants to. Now, this is in my opinion. I'm not stating this as a fact, so please don't come for me. It's all allegedly, honey. Let's be clear. And in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only, okay? And then Zadia, I think we all know Zadia, in my opinion, smashed Cam. Because the way she's moving this season is moving like someone that has given up the goodies and now is feeling some type of way about being able to be like, okay, this ain't gonna work. Because why are you so invested in this man? Why can't you be like, do you know what, this ain't working out, let me cut it out and dip? Okay, even if they haven't gone all the way, which I don't necessarily think they haven't, but let me give Zadia the benefit of the doubt, honey. Even if they haven't gone all the way, well, they did something for her to know how big the dick is, and for her to be giving him multiple chances despite him telling her he don't want anything serious. So I feel like she might be digmatized, in my opinion, and allegedly, right? Not a fact, just saying. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Now let's talk about Charisse and Maurice, honey. Now, initially I was thinking that they're so boring together, they're so this, they're so that. But now I'm like, maybe they suit each other, right? They both want the nice things of life, just want to chill, that sort of calm, zen energy. And I'm like, do you know what? Maybe, because watching them together, I was like, it was given, he's the calm to her storm. Around him, she doesn't seem to be as Charisse as that we know, right? She doesn't seem to be the Charisse that we know. She seems to be a lot more calmer. She seems to be a lot more comfortable around him. She even calls him babe. I'm like, okay, girl. So I was like, okay, their vibe is pretty similar. They seem pretty chill, zen. You know, some folks will say boring, but if that works for both of them, then I'm like, you know what? That's a good fit. I guess we'll see what happens next. Now let's talk about Cam and Zadia, honey. I'm tired of talking about Cam and Zadia because you lot know how I feel about them and how I feel like Zadia is out here wasting her time. And I bet she must be embarrassed watching these clips back because she looks like, I don't want to call her name, so I'm going to refrain and hold it in, right? But she is looking silly out here in these streets. She is looking dumb in these streets. This man is saying he ain't ready for a relationship. How many times is he going to call you? How many times is he going to tell you? He literally said in her face, if you're patient, maybe it could include you. Right? We can build up from what we have here, on what we have here. What do we have here? We are too grown to be doing them things. Now, I don't know how old Zadia is, but I imagine she's probably older than me. And I know at my age, I'm not about to be letting a man sit in my face talking about, I think we can build on what we have here. Boy, bye. I know people that be getting engaged in weeks, months. You know, their partner knows exactly what he wants and stuff, and he has a clear direction. They both do. And they tied a knot and are married and are still married. And then you now have this mandem every single time saying he's too busy for me. He can't give me romance for until like another year or so. Yet he's on a dating show trying to date in that way. You're not being honest. And Cam, let's talk about you. Let's forget Zadia now, right? Let's say, okay, she's stigmatized or whatever it is that she is. Let's talk about you, Cam. Why can't you be direct and tell her, I do not see a future with you? Right? Like, I know people say, oh, you know, you don't want to be rude. This is not being rude. At some point, if you're beating around the bush and beating about the bush or whatever, and not saying what it is, you can't be surprised if someone is not receiving what it is you're telling them. Because what it sounds like is Zadia has this overt thing, or she has this thing where she wants to be seen as understanding. She wants to be seen as, oh, I understand where you're coming from. She has this thing because she always says it, I'm such an understanding person. Girl, why? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not good to be understanding, but you have to be understanding in the right context. This one, it feels like you're overcompensating because you want to be understanding. How about you understand the fact that this man does not want you? Right? Like, forget all of the whatever he does to you and, you know, when you guys are around and how you're feeling and whatnot. What is he saying to you? What are his actions towards you, ma'am? Right? Every time you start to get comfortable and safe, he throws in some pebbles. He starts saying, you know, please focus on the experience. You know, if things work out with you and I, good. If they don't work out, is that someone that knows what they want? Is that someone that clearly wants you? If a man wants you, honey, he will do whatever it takes. He will not be saying things that should give you doubt. He will want to assure you that this is what he's here for. He will specify it. His actions will show it. But you're not getting any of those things. So what are you still doing, ma'am? Anyways, they're both annoying me, so I'm going to move on from that. Now let's talk about Ashley and Donald. Ashley and Donald met to recap the friend date, okay? And so Ashley is expressing to Donald how upset she is and how she feels like he's always talking about her bulldozing, but everything that he sees with her was also right there in her face with his friend, right? And I might not agree with Ashley on a lot of things, but on this one, I do completely agree. You sat there and watched this woman talk to the so-called person that you say you like anyhow, right? You said nothing. She felt unprotected in that moment, right? Don't get me wrong. I feel like there are different ways to handle it. It was like fire was fighting with fire, right? Smoke for smoke, right? And I feel like Donald did nothing to diffuse the situation. He just sat there with his... Okay, I'm about to get disrespectful, so I'm going to leave it. He just sat there and was looking like a little bee. I'm like, stand in the truth. Like, stand in the truth. Say what you need to say. Right? And then he had the audacity to say Ashley was aggressive. I'm like, girl, boy, if you don't stop. Your friend was aggressive. So was Ashley. They both were. And maybe the reason you like Ashley is because the friend's energy is so familiar. Ashley's energy is so familiar because you see that in your friend. And the friend wants to be able to be the only one in your life, Mr. Donald, that speaks to you in that way, that is aggressive. So now she's met her match and she's like, no, I don't want her around my man or my friend Donald in quotation marks. Okay. So then Donald starts saying that Ashley is putting fingers in his face and he can't deal with that. Now, maybe I need to go back and watch it, right? But I don't think she was putting fingers in his face. I feel like that language came from the friend. Do you guys remember? If you don't remember, go back and watch it. One of the things the friend said, right, was about, putting finger in Donald's face, right? She feels like, because of Ashley's energy, blah, 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 right? And so I think that lingo came from, Donald may not even know it, but I feel like he's repeating that lingo that he heard. Now, it could be that lingo came directly from Donald to his friend prior to that friend date. Or it could be after he heard his friend say it, it got into his head. And so when Ashley is speaking the way she normally speaks, now don't get me wrong, her energy was on 10 out of 10. But I'm talking about her mannerisms right now, right? Her mannerisms is very similar to how she definitely speaks normally. Now, it could be that, or alternatively, you know how when someone is in the heat of the moment, right? And despite this is their normal mannerisms, but they're in the heat of the moment, and you're like, don't be doing that. Because automatically things are heated, so it appears even worse than it is. So that's just about the fingers in the face comment, right? I personally think that, one, I think they're not a good fit. I feel like Donald is too timid for Ashley. I feel like Ashley needs someone that is a lot more assertive. Even if the person is calm, the person needs to be assertive. For example, someone who would have controlled the situation and said to the friend, you're here to try to get to know her. I don't need you to be bringing this energy. That's it, right? And even when Ashley was on 10, I've said to her, Ashley, at the start, Ashley, please, when you want to speak to me about something that you are upset about, I will receive it and I'll give you an opportunity to talk. But can you please don't do this, right? Don't come at me with that energy. Let's talk about it. There's no need to get aggressive, right? So I feel like she needs someone more assertive, and I think Donald is just not it. Like, they really need to stop wasting each other's time and just go their separate ways. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of this episode. I think it was an interesting episode. So far, I feel like this season of Ready to Love did not disappoint, but let me know what you guys think. Please give this video a thumbs up by liking the video. Please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you tap that bell for notifications, and make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. I want us to continue the conversation in the chat, so let's talk about it, and I will see you guys later. Bye.